My new bike. Glorious. All right, I'm at the Motor Cafe in Sunnyvale, California. I'm gonna go take this bad boy for a test ride here. The Ducati Xdiavel, or the Diavel, or the Diablo, or the Devil, or, oh man, whatever you want to call it. It is part cruiser, part sport bike. And I've already test ridden it once. My audio sounded really bad.
Ducati Xdiavel, I got the pedagogy that I'm gonna be following today. Joined by Gabe.
So we're here again. I've got a new SENA device to be able to record my voice audio, and we're gonna do a little test ride of this puppy. I have a lot to talk about on this. I absolutely adore this motorcycle. I'm in urban mode now. I'm gonna leave it there for right now. I've already experienced sport mode with this bad boy. And it was fun. It was definitely fun. Now the first thing that everybody says, and I'm going to say it too, is I always instinctively go for my mid-mounted pegs. The pegs are forward positioned on this. However, I must admit, it is like perfectly placed, and I can position these. I have some leeway, some customization abilities to move these pegs wherever I so like. So anyways, let's go ahead and take her out. The stability, the low speed stability with this bike is perfect. Maneuvering it through this little area here is nice. It's very flickable. It goes where you tell it. It's very intuitive. It's not a heavy bike, 545 pounds. It has 6 speeds on it. It's got the forward mounted controls. I think in a few more months, Ducati is going to release an adapter set to be able to have mid-mounted pegs if you so like. So you can have some maybe freeway pegs up front. That'd be nice. This bike is so fun, guys. It is cruiser. From the first moment you sit on it, the moment you turn it on and just listen to the pipes, you can hear that L-twin. It has a lot of that same rumble. It doesn't have the same sound as like a Harley per se, but you can definitely get a sense of a cruiser spirit with this thing. It's got bite to it for sure. Now, the suspension is a bit stiff, but listen to that thing purr. Oh man, this bike is just so lovely. The brakes on this bad boy are impressive. I have never been on a bike with such brilliant brakes. Very, very nice. I like the streamlined setup here. The LED display is awesome. I have control of the menu through here. I love the backlit display on the control cluster here, or on the buttons. That nice little red hue that comes out. I've got the Ducati power launch button right here, and it is so tempting. Yet because I don't own the bike and because I don't have proper life insurance, I'm very nervous to say about that. But I'm tempted as well. Like, it's definitely brings out the devil in you. That button, it encourages being toggled. Urban mode, touring mode, and sport mode, and I'll talk more about that, but there's about 72 different customized options with each one. So you can adjust the engine, you can adjust the traction control, and you can also control the ABS brake. You know, the technology there, you have some customization abilities. Plus you also have customization abilities with the pegs. There are different handlebars you can get, different seats, but the stock seat on this is the S version. It's the glossy black. It has the M50 brakes up front, the Brembo brakes. It's got the better wheels, or at least the more stylish, blinged out wheels. It's got some more, machined bits and bobs going on with it that kind of make it more distinctive. It's got the Bluetooth setup on there. I don't believe the non-S version has that. But my goodness, I mean, it is, right now I am in a cruiser stance. I am a cruiser. I wouldn't feel bad whatsoever cruising with some Harley guys right now. With just rolling with a pack of cruisers, going on a toy run, doing a poker run, you name it. This bike feels very much like, it doesn't make me feel uncomfortable with that idea. But then you get up to the twisty stuff, and the bike just glides. It does exactly what you tell it to do. It's got the power, and again, I'm in urban mode, the one mode where everything is kind of crippled. And it is beautiful, man. It's just, I want to not be on this predetermined route that we have to do. I want to instead be up in the twisty mountains with this bike. So give this video some love, share it, like it, do whatever you can. Hashtag XXX Deadhead on Xdiavel, because if we can get that moving, if we can get this momentum rolling, I see no problems being able to take this bike further out into the fun stuff. I see no problem being able to take this bike up into the mountains, and maybe we can convince Ducati to loan me one of their demo bikes for the Yellowstone road trip. That would be so epic. Really see if this bike can handle, being a cruiser and touring. As far as comfort goes, I am totally comfortable. I could go another 500, 600 miles today and then tear up some twisty roads. I feel extremely comfortable. And this is all a stock setup. I feel more comfortable on this bike right now as is than I do with my bike with thousands of dollars of improvements on it. And just, with the seat and the suspension and such. So, yeah, it's definitely different. Definitely love this bike. Probably should have locked down that GoPro a little bit better, right? Again, the suspension is a little bitey. I think it's tuned perfectly, though, for the twisty roads. I definitely want to take this up into the twisty roads around my area, into the Santa Cruz Mountains. And I think we will at some point here in the future, because I am really tempted to buy this bike. And I've test ridden a lot of bikes. I've test ridden, I loved the CVO Breakout from Harley Davidson. I like the Night Rod. The Night Rod Special was very fun bike indeed. The Ninja 650, Ninja 300, great bikes. I think out of all the bikes I've ridden, I've ridden the big classic, the ultra classic Electric Glide from Harley. I've ridden some Indian bikes, some Victory bikes. The bikes that have really excited me, that have really encouraged me to even think about getting rid of my 1200 Sportster, have been the Breakout from Harley, the CVO version, which is $30,000, and I would say the FZ09 kind of almost made it. This bike, seriously, I would trade my soul for it. I seriously contemplated getting rid of a kidney. Feeling that low end rumble. I mean, you can feel it when I drop down a gear. That low end rumble is amazing. That lean angle is amazing. And I think the combination of the two, this is like that crossover bike, right? It's supposed to cross over between the cruiser world and the sport bike world. And a lot of fear has been placed on this idea that it won't be good at either. And I have to say, as far as cruiser goes, I test rode this bike with Gabe just a few days back. And on our test ride, Gabe also rode it. He felt like he loved this bike as well.
Sure. No, but this would make a killer ride even better,
And we both felt extremely comfortable with it. But when we had to switch over and I let Gabe take control, I literally felt like his Street Bob was not very comfortable.
No wheelies.
Nah, no. I got a scar to remind me of those wheelie attempts.
Yes.
Dude, this is comfortable. Dude, this is nice. I like it.
After riding that, now that I'm on this with the mid-mounted pegs, I feel like it's too cramped. Like, that was really cozy.
And when I got back on my bike to go home that day, I have to say it was one of the most miserable rides. I felt uncomfortable. I felt unsporty-like. I just felt let down because I wasn't on this bike. And I know that sounds like a sellout to my bike to some extent, but trust me, it's not. I love my bike. I still absolutely love the Sportster series from Harley. Great for commuting, great for everything I want to do. For touring even. I mean, it's not the most comfortable touring bike, but it'll get me there. This bike, more comfortable, better in the twisties. I would say it's probably better for commuting. It's got the power delivery there for whenever you need it, and you have the different modes. I mean, I'm not trying to get held up on the modes here, but I must say that this bike is freaking awesome. Now, is it a cruiser? Absolutely. In my eyes, it is a cruiser, and that's all of that is because of the comfort of the bike, the upright position. You're in a cruiser stance. It has this rock and roll vibe to it, and that's kind of what I really attribute to a cruiser. Is does it have that classic rock and roll vibe going on? And this bike does. It also has that classic music like Mozart, Bach, and Beethoven going on. Jazz, some Miles Davis, some Thelonious Monk. It's got even a little bit of country. It's got hip hop in it. It's got electronica. I don't know, man. It's a very interesting bike, and I highly recommend you go out and test ride one, or at least sit on one, hear it, and sit on it, and just get a vibe for it, get a feel for what it says to you, just at a standstill. This bike is phenomenal. The marketing on this bike has been pretty weird for my taste. Low speed excitement. I've heard a gentleman, a bastard, the X. What else have I heard? The Techno Cruiser. Now, in my eyes, the best marketing for this bike would be rebellious. I put this guy in sport mode. I've ridden on the FC09 in sport mode. And this bike, of all the bikes I've ever been on, is more hooligan, more rebel, more badass than any of the other bikes I've been on as far as what it entices you to want to do. This bike entices me to want to cruise out hundreds of miles to get the best barbecue in the land. This bike entices me to be a hooligan, to do wheelies, to do all of that stuff. It entices me to go up in the mountains and tear it up. And it wants me to go to Yellowstone on it. It wants me to go back to Utah. It wants me to just ride it. It wants to be in my garage. I know that. I get that vibe. Right now I'm getting that feeling. I don't know how to say this without sounding like a salesman. This bike is truly phenomenal. It totally beats any of the preconceived expectations I ever had on it. I'll be honest. I was shocked and surprised to find out that I actually really wanted this bike. I thought it was a little overpriced for what it is. Now that I've ridden on this is the second time I've ridden on this bike. The price tag's fine. I just can't afford it yet, unless I can figure out how to sell a kidney. And though I don't want to finance a bike, this bike doesn't care about that. It doesn't make me feel like I need to worry about that. It just makes me want to ride. It is, I definitely get that cruiser sensation. I have to, I've heard a lot of people talk about this bike. All of them are sport bike guys, and they talk about the comfort. I'm telling you from the cruiser side of the world, this bike is very comfortable. Just cruising along, it's comfortable, like I'm cozy. I still have a little bit of that aggressive stance. Knowing that I could change out the bars and get even more of a laid-back sense or more of an aggressive sense is really intriguing to me. But I think that just knowing that I can go that 150 or 200 miles comfortably to get to some amazing section of road and then tear up said section of road is amazing to me. I love that idea. Now with my motorcycle, I only have approximately a 30-degree lean angle. 28 to 30, 31 maybe degrees of lean. With this bike, you can go up to 40 degrees of lean angle on a forward-mounted setup. That is pretty amazing. I mean, even right there, I would have scraped on a bigger bike, taking a turn that sharp. But now one of my dream bikes has been the Street Glide from Harley Davidson, and that comes in right around the same $23,000 price tag. Now that bike is definitely, maybe, it looks at least, more suited for a long distance tour. I can get a front fairing for this guy. It might not be as effective as the Street Glide. It might not even be as like nostalgic looking or sexy in that sense of like the touring beefy big muscle style. But the difference is that when you get to your location, when you get to Zion, Utah, or when you get to Yellowstone or Yosemite, or you get to the other side of the United States, of the Atlantic Ocean, or wherever you might get to, you can tear it up. You can have fun, and you don't even have to tear it up. Like, take that whole aspect away, the hooligan side of that away. Let's say that you just cruise, you know, just the same. You're following all speed limits. Somehow you're able to resist the devil in this sense, and you're able to follow all of the speed limits and all of that. The brakes on this thing are phenomenal. I mean, it is just phenomenal how sharp these brakes work. And the ABS is just, I mean, you're going to be safer with a bike like this. You get into a turn and you're going too hot, hotter than you normally would. Instead of flying off the edge, you're going to have 10 more degrees or more of lean angle, and you're still cruising. And that alone right there, that safety factor, that feature, is pretty impressive for a cruiser. You don't get that with a cruiser. You get the low center of gravity. This has it. You get the ability to brake, obviously, with our cruisers, but nothing like this. Nothing. Oh man, it is just night and day difference. But I absolutely love this bike, and I'm sure you can tell through my voice that, you know, I'm no longer biased. I'm no longer impartial. This bike has definitely won my soul. And that's something there's something to be said about that. I've test ridden so many bikes from my YouTube channel, and I've always tried to remain as honest and impartial as I possibly can. I can't do it with this bike, and the reason why is because I love every single inch of it. I love the look of it. I love the style of it. I love everything about it. I didn't so much when I looked at it on paper, when I looked at it online on the internet. But speaking of which, let's take a look at this bike some more right up here. Oh man, just graceful at these low speeds. Graceful and delicate. You know what's really interesting about this bike is that like, how do I say this without like offending Ducati? Ducatis are not known for being comfortable. I've never heard anybody say anything about a Ducati being comfortable stock. This bike has it. Stock, out the door, it has that comfort factor to it. I love this front light setup is awesome. The rear lights on this are amazing. I don't know how to talk about this bike anymore without coming across as like some salesman, because I'm totally sold on it. More hooligan than the SE09 ever could be. And that's weird to me for a cruiser. Thank you, sir. I'm having too much fun, that's the problem. So as far as flat footing it, I've got about a 29-inch, 30-inch inseam. I'm able to easily flat foot it. I do feel a little bit of discomfort along the frame here as I sit. Once I get my feet up, that discomfort goes away rather quickly. One thing that both when my friend Gabe and I came out to test ride these, and I really wish the audio would have recorded, because I mean we were just giddy the whole way through, but one of the things that we did talk about is that the moment we got on the bike, we felt 100% natural on it, as if we had owned the bike forever. And like, there's nothing alien about this. As a cruiser guy, I don't feel odd in any way. The feet forward, I honestly am not used to it. I don't like it. Normally on most motorcycles, with this bike, I love it. It's very comfortable. I can just put my feet up and lounge back if I want to, or I can kind of almost feel more aggressive with it. I can move those back. I can even have them as a mid-mounted peg setup, which would be nice. Now, one of the things that we did talk about is, you know, I've heard several comments and on different reviews, I've seen other people bring this up, that Ducati is showing up late to the game. They're not innovating a new market. They're showing up late to the VMAX and the V-Rod, and I 100% disagree with that concept now. 140 pounds lighter approximately, has 6 gears, not 5, has 6. Both of those bikes are, you know, heavier, and even the VMAX, I'd say it's more top heavy. It has more of that vented setup, more of a sporty pegged setup. It's not cozy. Like I've never sat on a VMAX. I have sat on the Night Ride Special, and I love the bike. But that bike didn't really leave me with like some type of emotional longing to go ride. It was just a good bike, and no harm, no foul. I love that bike. It looks good. It sounds good. But if I'm going to spend that kind of money on a bike, I would want something for me, because I live in the mountains are right out there. I've got the Santa Cruz Mountains all around me. I've got twisty roads galore, and this bike would eat those up compared to any of the other bikes. The VMAX couldn't keep up on that. The V-Rod couldn't keep up on that. And on comfort, I have to say that this is at least as comfortable as the V-Rod, if not more comfortable. And it's hard to go back to that frame of mind. I still have that seat on this thing it just tucks me in, it holds me in, and this bike is just brilliant. It's really well designed. And all I can say is that if you are skeptical of this bike, if you feel like it's just not the bike for you, I highly recommend that you go out and test ride it. Definitely get out there and test ride this. Sit on the bike. Just sit on it. You don't even have to test ride it. You sitting on it, it'll tell you a lot. It'll give you a lot of feedback. The bike is very well engineered. I love the detail and everything that I'm seeing. I want this bike, guys. Again, hashtag XXX Deadhead on Xdiavel. And if we can make that happen, if we can get some momentum with this video, with this bike, then we can definitely potentially see this bike further up into the mountains. We can see this bike being test ridden up in the Santa Cruz Mountains here. We can see this bike maybe even taken up to Yellowstone. Oh, that would be so glorious to spend that amount of time and that amount of miles on this bike, to really just kind of rub the salt in the wound, and the fact that my wife and I made a decision not to take out any more loans. And this bike just tempts, man. It just, like I said, it wants trouble. It's rebellious. It gives you so much freedom on the road. It is, I get the techno cruiser, but this is more techno rebel, and I recommend it. 2 thumbs up. Alrighty, thank you, man. Thank you for all the patience and taking this bike out. But the message has to be heard. It must be told. It is a badass bike. 100% pure badassery right here.
it's like it merged together and it just became one.
Comfort and performance all of a sudden.
Right.
Form
All in
and
one.
Form and function, everything just melded to the center of that X, I guess. Might be the best, like that's the limit. The potential of this bike is it just.
I wouldn't say that's the limit. I would say that's the beginning.
Or yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you know. In mathematics, we talk a lot about like infinity and where it goes for, you know, where the limit of that bike, and you can say that that is the end or that is the beginning because it doesn't matter. It's just a directional thing, and this bike, like you said it best, this bike tells me, put me in your garage and take me out to the mountains. Love me. And I think if I owned this, I'd have to wash it a lot more than I wash my bike.